Hi everybody, it's Don from Don's Family Vacation. Today I'm going to cover a little bit of a fun topic. It's the 10 stupidest things that I've heard of tourists doing. And that doesn't matter where you're going, whether they're coming to North America or North Americans are going to Europe and Japan or Russia. Sometimes people do absolutely the dumbest things you can think of, and yeah, we're going to talk about them right after this. Number one is not only really dumb, it's also very dangerous for everyone around you, is taking a selfie with a wild animal, or should I say at least getting too close. First of all, I've seen people in Florida getting up close to a crocodile or an alligator to the point where they're within a foot of the animal, and then they turn their back and they hold their camera up like this to take the selfie. All kinds of bad things can happen when you see that kind of stuff. Or people will see bears and they'll turn around and take selfies of bears. First of all, you don't turn your back on a wild animal because you never know what they're going to do. All of a sudden, you're going to look up in your camera phone and they're going to be charging you like this bison did in the national park in Banff. It boggles my mind when people think that all animals in the world are completely tame like dogs and cats, because a lot of them will attack you if they have the opportunity. So don't get too close to take a selfie with a wild animal. Number two, I don't understand this logic at all, and if you're a person who's ever done this, you're a person I can't stand, to be honest with you. You have no respect for anybody. You go to ancient ruins in Rome or in Mexico or any monument or something along those lines, and you write graffiti on them. The cathedral in Rome has been desecrated with graffiti. I don't understand how disrespectful people can be to do something like that to national treasures. That'd be like growing up to the Mona Lisa and scribbling a mustache on it. That's enough of that. That is really stupid. Number three might seem like a good idea and a lot of fun at the time, but it can get you in a lot of trouble in some countries. For instance, and that's going to, like, again, a national monument or a big tourist area of some kind, and say, for instance, like the Trevi Fountain. It's one of the most photographed fountains in the world you're ever going to get. And I know everyone who's been there has always been tempted to jump in and get a picture in it or something along those lines. But jumping into the Trevi Fountain will get you arrested immediately on the spot. And there are places in other countries like cultural or a religious area, say like in Japan, where there's this fountain and a waterfall that flows into a river that is sacred to them in their tradition, and no one is allowed into the water. Not only that, you're not even supposed to touch the water. In order to take a drink from the water or to bathe or to do anything with the water, they give you out these huge long ladles that you stick out into the waterfall and you bring it back in. And then here you'll see, like, this gentleman here who just jumped in and started filling an empty, looks like a soda bottle full of water so he could take it home with him. Luckily for him, the police did not catch this person because it's a minimum 4-year sentence if you're caught diving into those waters. So yeah, make sure you know what you're doing when you go to these places. Keeping on the lighthearted side of it, you might think, we're known for college pranks here in North America, stealing the mascot or, taking down a road sign because it says something strange on it that you want in your room and stuff like that. Well, in other countries, they're not so lenient when it comes to this kind of crime. Take North Korea, for example, and this young man who went to North Korea and decided to steal a poster a government poster, and he was caught. And yeah, we would think, oh, well, what kind of fine did he pay? No, he was sentenced to 15 years in jail. Hard time by the Korean government. First of all, as you probably know nowadays, North Korea is not very friendly towards North American population right now. So don't go to a country like this and expect the rules to apply. So be on your best behavior and don't do anything stupid. Even as small as taking a poster can be very devastating to the rest of your life. In England, everyone's famous for seeing the guard. That stoic figure that'll stand there and you can go up to him and you can make faces at him and they're going to stay stern-faced and not moved. It's a running gag in a lot of things. Mr. Bean's done specials on it. And everyone's well known for doing that. And they will put up with a lot. But you got to remember that they are guards. They are military. And when you see them marching and standing guard, not so much standing in the guard house, but actually guarding an area. For instance, this gentleman walked up, went beside him while he was marching, and stood there like he's just going to take a normal selfie, and then he grabs the guard by the shoulder and aims for his arm. The guard thought he was reaching for his gun, and the next thing you know, that tourist had that machine gun pointed at his head. And thankfully the guard was well trained and didn't just automatically shoot. Because especially with the things that are going on in the world nowadays, how stupid do you have to be to have done something like that? Another thing to keep in mind is, while they're in the guard station, yes, you can go up and take selfies, be respectful, take proper photos, but if you see people marching in a line, like a group of the guard, 15, 20 of them, whatever it is, their motto is that they're not going to get out of the way. March forward, let nothing stand in your way. And tourists are sometimes surprised by this, that they'll be standing there talking and they're not going to pay attention to these soldiers marching towards them, and the next thing you know, the soldiers are walking over them because they're not moving. It's up to you to get out of the way. So keep that in mind. While you can go up and take selfies and make funny faces at the guards in the station, don't get in their way when they're marching, or yeah, you can be trampled on. Number 6. We have issues in North America, in some cases, with police force. And I'm not saying this to all police officers, by no means. I have the most respect for an officer. I've never ever had an issue with a police officer myself. That being said, if you think anything bad about the police forces here in North America, there are countries out there that would blow your mind. Russia, for example, has one of the worst police forces, the most corrupt police officers you're going to find anywhere in the world. So thinking here in North America you get pulled over, how many times you see on YouTube videos of guys who just crack their window like this and start arguing with the police officer that just pulled them over. I have the right not to get out of my car. I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that. You do that in Russia, they're smashing your window and dragging you out by your face and throwing you on the ground, and now you're arrested. And you don't want to go to a Russian prison. So be careful when you're traveling to other countries, because it's not the same police force that you have here. You think they're strict here? Yeah, other places would make these people look like a bunch of Mary Poppins patrolling the streets. Number 7, not all countries have the same feelings towards food or cultures or anything that we have in North America. They're different countries, they're born differently, they have different media, they have all kinds of different governments. And for instance, in Korea, 85% of all adults in Korea smoke. And I was on a trip there once, and this lady got really belligerent and yelling at these people in a restaurant because they were smoking. But they're allowed to smoke in this restaurant. And she actually ended up getting escorted out of the restaurant by the manager and the waitstaff because she was causing a disturbance. So don't tell people in other countries to put out their cigarette unless you know they're not supposed to be smoking there. There should be a no smoking sign somewhere. So speaking of telling people and thinking people should behave one way in another country, one of the strangest things that I come across a lot, surprisingly, is when people get mad at other people because they don't speak English in a foreign country. So I'm in a small town in China, a fishing village, and I expect them to understand English? I mean, how full of it do you have to be to believe that in reality? Because more countries around the world know English as a second language than North Americans know any other language combined. So keep that in mind next time you travel. Yeah, don't expect everyone to know how to speak English because it's not an English country. This one is a huge pet peeve of mine, and if you're one of those people, yeah. Okay, so it's people who take their shoes off and socks off on an airplane or on a bus. Because nothing is better than being on an enclosed area with a bunch of people and smelling nothing but your dirty feet. Thank you very much for that. And how many times when they do this, do they put it up by the window and the feet is almost into your section of the plane where you're sitting down, and you look out the window and sitting right there are somebody's naked, bare, smelly feet staring you at the face. It drives me nuts and that people are that rude and that inconsiderate of other people on the plane. At least bring slippers or something like that if you're going to do something stupid like that. And yeah, it is stupid. Here's one that we're kind of on the verge of doing something that's not accepted in other countries so much. And that is, in North America, we are starting to legalize marijuana in some states and some provinces in Canada. Just because we're doing it here doesn't mean other countries are as acceptant of it as, we are becoming more here. That being also said, is I know of a country that 1 ounce of marijuana possession, if you're caught with it, is a mandatory 10-year sentence. That's right, they're going to send you away for 10 years for 1 ounce of marijuana. So if you're heading on a spring break vacation to some of these countries, find out the marijuana laws and the drug laws in these countries, because the penalties are astronomical compared to what you might get for possession here in North America. An ounce of marijuana in North America, you're going to get a slap on the wrist and maybe have to pay a $100 fine and promise not to do it again. A 10-year sentence, that's crazy, right? But that's their laws, and you have to follow them. So there's 10 stupid things that can happen when you're traveling around the world. Everything from being arrested for having 1 ounce of marijuana to people taking their shoes off on planes, getting mad at people who don't speak English. I mean, come on, that's just stupid stuff. And we should all know better. So whenever you're going to travel to a foreign country, do some Googling and find out some of the things. If you know you're going to drink, find out what their drinking laws are. If you know you're going to drive, find out what side of the road you have to drive on. If you're going to do marijuana, find out if you're going to be thrown in jail for a long period of time if you're caught, because you just might want to know that. And also, funny pranks here in the United States might not be funny pranks to other places. So all those things, keep in mind. Don't do them when you're in a foreign country, especially a severe foreign country like North Korea. Wow. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more tips and more travel vlogs, please hit the subscribe button. And until next time, Well, don't be stupid, but have yourself a safe and a great vacation.